Well, hello and welcome to This Week in Dearborn. I'm Mayor Jack O'Reilly. Today was a very special day for both the City of Dearborn and the City of Melvindale as we concluded a process in which we agreed to a merged program for our fire department, which would include our fire response and our ambulance response. And Mayor Striz is with me from Melvindale, and we can talk about, it was pointed out that it's been 1 year exactly. What do you think about that?
I'm very excited for this day. We've worked very hard, and I think that we've set the standard for future things like this to happen with other communities.
Right, and it is challenging because, as we know, whenever you're saying we want to do things differently, people's first reaction is, well, we're not sure. We know what we were doing. We're not sure about what it might mean in the future. And that's one of the big challenges. And of course, then just the details, which, you know, the 1 year wasn't spent on just getting overcoming the apprehension. It was on working out the details. And today we had the formal signing. And talk about, from Melvindale, how you viewed, you know, what opportunities were and why it's important that we figure out how to get the same services for less cost.
Well, for Melvindale, it was definitely cost was a big factor. And looking at merging with Dearborn, it was a win-win because we were providing better equipment for our residents, better opportunities for our employees, and just better response times. Everything was, it just made sense.
Yeah, and I think that people have to understand, particularly with fire and ambulance response, we don't have a way of predicting when those calls are going to come in or what kind of consistency. So there's definitely an advantage when you know that you have multiple stations in which you can dispatch equipment. And many of the smaller departments like Melvindale had one station. So once they had a call, they were kind of then frozen out of having the ability to respond immediately to another call. In Dearborn, we've always had 4 stations, and therefore it means that if one station is on a call and there's a call from the same region, we can dispatch someone immediately to there. And you had mutual aid, which was a very good tool, but it wasn't perfect. And now everybody benefits. Dearborn benefits because we have more alternatives to respond to calls as needed. And of course, Melvindale now has the ability that if the unit that's stationed at Oakwood Station is out, there is immediate ability to dispatch another piece of equipment. And I think that's a huge issue.
Yes, and also now we'll have more firefighters responding to the scene, which improves safety and response, and hopefully can salvage, you know, property and protect lives better.
Yeah, and we have our 2 chiefs here from both departments, Chief Densmore from Melvindale and Chief Murray from Dearborn. And this was really important because even though we can say, well, it makes sense, we had to work through a lot of processes, which Chief Densmore, your staff, your employees of Melvindale Fire Department, great employees, well-trained, and this was kind of like, oh my gosh, you know, this is sort of something that's new and not the norm. I want to talk a little bit about how working through this process has been, how you've worked through the process with your staff.
Well, when we looked at the big picture of everything, we realized that there would be cost savings to the city of Melvindale and job security for the individual firefighters moving into a bigger city. The process we had mentioned was 1 year to the day. We worked through and we had met with the finance folks at first, and then we had to bring the unions on board. And it just seemed like everything fell right into place. There was a few times we had to go back and forth with just the financial things, but when it came down to the perfect world, it happened. And I was very happy to be part of that and get everybody on board with that situation.
You said something very important because we live, obviously, in both of our communities with collective bargaining agreements, and we negotiate those. And I think one of the key things was the fact that there was, what often isn't there, is acceptance on the part of both departments that the world is a changing place. Chief Murray, you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's really significant that people understand that the unions recognize that we have to begin to look at different models.
Sure. I think what you said is right on target, Mayor. I believe the department and the unions at this time are ready to look at options that might have been different from the norm in previous years. And the reason for that is simple. There's definitely financial challenges all communities face right now, but also operationally. At least as far as the Dearborn Fire Department, we've been getting busier. We realize that there's more needs for more boots on the ground. And there's a lot of parts of Dearborn that are actually closer to the Melvindale station than would be from a Dearborn Fire Department. So operationally, it made a lot of sense for us to explore that, and we did obviously a lot of due diligence, a lot of research, a lot of graphing and mapping, a lot of crunching numbers to see if it made sense. And once we knew it would make sense, obviously we had a lot of discussions with our labor group because they're a big they're a big partner in this, as well as our community members, and came up with an agreement that we all thought was going to be benefit for the citizens, the communities, and for the employees long term. And even I was just talking to Chief Densmore a few days ago. We're already getting calls from a number of other fire departments because they've seen our agreement and they want to replicate in their own communities because they see a lot of operational benefits and financial savings as well. So
yeah, I'm very proud of everybody involved because really the labor unions really showed that they have a vision for their own future, and that's really key. Is that they're accepting that change is here, but it can be a positive change. And I think for everyone, and I really believe this, every part of this agreement represents a positive outcome for for the communities, and I think that's really the hallmark. And in fact, we got recognized. We submitted for some additional funds to the state based on the fact that we were, in fact, doing something a little outside the ordinary, and we received that money, which was really great. I think Melvindale received, we received the grant so that we could get some new equipment and some other things. Anyone want to comment on that? But I think it's really a great recognition.
Yeah, it was really the cost that we submitted to the state under the CGAP program. We were awarded about $265,000, and that money essentially provided for us all the startup costs, all the equipment needs that we needed just to get the project off the ground. So really, for us to go through all the equipment we had to purchase and standardize between the two communities actually really cost no additional cost out of the general fund per se.
Yeah, and again, these are things that make such a difference. For people in either community, what they're getting is all of our firefighters, without regard to where they are incredibly well trained. They have all advanced life-saving support. They understand. They have special training. I know Melvindale, working with Marathon Oil, had done some special training related to unique situations. We've done that. So what we're going to have is an ever-improving department as people from Melvindale take training they may not have had, and people from Dearborn take training they might not have had, so that really we're much better prepared to respond to any situation. And as you mentioned, Mayor, one of the things is that the actual response, because we have the capacity now to do this, we can afford to send out maybe more equipment in some cases and more staffing in many cases to the first call. And then once they're there, they can sort out and defer people back. But it's a better response model, and it's going to be great for everybody. I mean, I think this is the thing that the public has to understand is this is an upgrade in terms of the response from both departments, and it's a cost savings for both departments, which is really, I think, unique. Yes. And again, I appreciate, because I know you initiated this, and there was a lot of anxiety from certain people, and I give you a lot of credit as a mayor myself. I give you credit for being steadfast and saying, no, this is what is going to be in the long-term interest.
Well, thank you. There's always fear in change, but I do believe that this was a great thing, and everyone will see that.
And we put qualifiers in so that people are watching and say, well, how are you going to know? Well, we actually have measurement tools we've agreed to, and we have a time frame that says if we get to 4 years out and we realize it's not working, we have the right, either party has the right to say, no, we want to change, we want to get away from the contract. So we're not saying that we know for certain, we believe this is right, and we're waiting to prove it's right. And I think that's another key feature here is that with respect to both communities, we're saying if there is something we missed, we're prepared to reopen and rediscuss it, and it's right in the contract.
Yes, I think that everyone involved really did their research, and we have accounted for about everything that we could think of, so I agree.
Yeah. So again, you'll see the trucks, and again, you won't know the difference because, as I said, at this point, no matter who's responding, they're the best trained, they know what they're doing, and the quality of service is continuing to be high in both communities, and we're very proud of that. And I think that's, you know, again, we ask people to think about what is it you want. Is it that you want to be sure that our community versus some other community, you know, that's the issue, or is it that we get the best service for the best price? And we believe, and I think the majority want, best service for best price, and that's what we are going to deliver.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.